Grant Abbott, and I'm writing a book on family wealth protection. But it's not just family wealth protection in one line. Our goal, really, and I want you to take this as a challenge, is to protect your family wealth for your bloodline for generations to come. We don't want to see our wealth slipping to someone else's bloodline, and more importantly, into the bloodline of lawyers or the tax office or the government. We want to make sure it's kept within our castle with a moat around it, if you've heard me talk about that before. I want to start you on the track down as to how we're going to make sure that we protect this family wealth. And the key to it, and I love this one, the key to it is to get a line of succession. You may have seen that TV series which enthralled me, but where Dad didn't want to let go because he didn't trust any of his children. And that's fair enough. Sometimes parents are like that. But we need, in order to protect, we need to have a very strong line of succession. The best one for me, and this is what I like to model, because essentially if someone else is doing something really well, why wouldn't you model it or copy it rather than effectively go and try and reinvent the wheel where there's mistakes? And the best one that I like to model is the British royal family. You see, we had a position here where the Queen, God love her soul, effectively was the titular head of the British royal family. She had a husband, Philip. The husband, Philip, had really no rights or entitlements to any of the crown wealth. The crown wealth is very much like a trust estate that passes on for generations to come. And guess what it does? It protects family wealth for bloodline for generations, and it stood the test of time. So let's go back and just talk about succession a little bit further. The Queen looked after Andrew despite all his legal affairs, all the scandals associated with him. She looked after him, she looked after Edward, Margaret, she looked after the whole of the family. And then the next one coming down from the Queen was obviously Charles. So with Prince Charles, as he was in waiting for a long time. The Queen really didn't want to let go, if you ask me. But at some point in time she passed. And the good thing about that, there was a perfect line of succession. From the moment that she passed away, within hours, Charles is now named as King Charles III. But more importantly, what Charles wants is he ended up with the keys to the Crown estate. Remember I talked about that multi-generational trust. Suddenly, all the largesse that the Queen gave to Harry and Meghan and to Prince Andrew and all that was suddenly cut adrift. And you can see Charles basically said, well, Harry and Meghan, you're out of here. Oh, by the way, that palace that you're living in with 20 staff, Andrew, that's gone. You're going to Harry and Meghan's old 3-bedroom cottage. And of course, Andrew is complaining to no end. You know, he's not getting enough money. He should have been left a lot more. But importantly, there's no family provisions claim in this estate, and effectively it means that it goes straight down to Charles. Now after Charles it's going to be William. After William it's going to be George. If something happened next year, a virus or a pandemic or something came through, knocked out Charles and William, we're going to find that George is actually going to be the King of England. Now he won't be able to make his decisions. He'll have a coterie of advisors, almost like a family board advisor there, a king set of advisory board. But effectively he'll end up being that. But there's a line of succession, it's not going to change. The person after that is Charlotte. It doesn't get around to Andrew until about 9th in waiting, and I'm sure if Andrew was king he would absolutely love it. But that is what we call a strong line of succession. One passes, the next one comes in, the next one comes in, the next one. So we want a strong line of succession that the event is, it's not just like the Queen, but it's going to happen. There's going to be a transfer of the, I call it like the leading member. The Queen was the leading member of the family. Charles the leading member. Wills will be. So they're the ones who make the decision and hold all the keys to the wealth. So it's going to be death, and in Australia it's also going to be dementia. It's also going to be incapacity. Because there may be a situation that you cannot effectively look after your own affairs. Unlike some of the kings in the past have been absolutely gaga, but in Australia we need to make sure that in these events that essentially that it's actually going to be passed. Another one is of course bankruptcy as well. It may also be in terms of family law. When there's a divorce, we might find that it's time to make a change. So all of these events are quite significant in terms of family wealth protection. We need to make sure that we have this line of succession. And that's up to you to sit down and in your own mind think, well, if something happened to me, who's the next in line? Who's my next, like this Windsor royal family line, who's the next one who's going to step in the event of death, in the event of dementia, incapacity, bankruptcy or divorce? Or simply, the fact is, and if you heard me talk about before, someone is litigating the family. Because you don't want to put family wealth at jeopardy if this is happening. We want to make sure it's protected, and it's not only protected, but it's protected for bloodline, protected for generations. The British royal family has been able to manage this process for centuries and centuries. Seems to me to make a smart move to copy it. It's Grant Abbott, signing off.